Okay, here we are in VR in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 with the original Oculus Rift CV1. I've spent the better part of this week tweaking settings and recording setups and everything else to try and get this to a place where I'm comfortable with it. I actually haven't played this sim in VR since VR was released, God knows how long ago. So there was a lot of tweaking to be done. I'm not going to bore you with all the details of the issues that I was having. Suffice it to say that it was some combination of OBS, MSFS, and the Oculus setup. Because I could play this when I initially got back into this here a couple weeks ago. I could play everything. Well, actually, no, it was right when Sim Update 7 launched, so whenever that was, this week. I could set everything to ultra and high-ish, with a couple set to medium, like trees and grass and stuff like that. And I would have no issues in the headset. But the minute I tried and record in OBS, everything went out the window, and it was just crap, absolute crap. And I know that it was OBS playing with these, with these pieces of software and with this headset, because my rig is no slouch with a 3090 For the Win 3 Ultra from EVGA and a 5900X with AMD. 32 gigabytes of RAM at 3600 megahertz, so I know it's not my hardware in that respect. And then NVIDIA Shadowplay worked fine. Again, no issues in the headset, but the recording would come out fine. But with OBS, images and frame timing and everything in the headset would be fine, but the recording would be crap. For various reasons. And if I played with settings, then the display in the headset would get crap, and oh my god, it was a nightmare. But anyway, long story short, I think I got it resolved. I spent a ton of time just sitting outside of, like, Denver. Well, not outside Denver, like in Denver. Just out of downtown. Wait, why am I at Granby? I don't want to be at Granby. Go here. So here's Centennial Airport, but I would sit, outside of Metro Denver, right here. Activate Active Pause or whatever it's called, Smart Pause or whatever, and play with the settings with it running until I got it dialed in, and then I would try and record, and then up and down, you know how it goes. But yeah. So now I'm going to attempt an actual full-length flight. It's only a 25-30 minute flight-ish from Centennial to Granby, up here in the Front Range. Yeah, 26-minute flight. It's not bad. I think I want to leave out of 2.7 or 2.8, and then yeah, we'll land on. Oh, it wants me to land on 9. I'm gonna override that. I'm gonna land on 27. So it's more or less a straight shot. We're gonna shoot the approach, but that's why I want to continue over the airfield, circle right for final. 2 knots isn't anything, so no big deal. It's just a sim. We don't have to follow protocol or anything. Let's see. So before we jump into the actual flight, I'm gonna have to come back and reconfigure all that. Let's go through the settings, and we're gonna start unconventionally in the accessibility options, in the general options, because for me, I had to have lock set. I couldn't use legacy. I had to go into the cockpit interaction system and set it to lock in order for the touch controllers to work appropriately in the aircraft. And that is the big thing about the update, which has really drug me back in, is the controller support. Not to mention, it's just been a while since I've played. So now we'll jump into the general VR settings, and you can see where I've landed at. These are the settings that I've chosen. I'm not going to go into detail as to why, but I mean, with the Rift, the resolution is so low to begin with that there's probably no reason to go much higher than this, but it's just nice to know that I can. Like when I'm playing and not recording, I will use super sampling, for example, just to make text easier to read in the cockpit. But the minute I touch super sampling, even if I go to just 1.2, OBS just freaks out. So yeah, you can pause this if you like and get a look at what I'm using for settings. And we go to the controller options, and you'll see what I'm using here with the touch controllers. We can skip these, they're really inessential, but just for, as far as like flight controls, this is what I'm using. Primary action is set to the trigger on both sticks, and then cockpit interaction increase and decrease are set to the thumbstick's y-axes, and then for the increase you leave it unreversed, and then for the decrease you reverse it. So I've done that with both touch controllers, and that allows me then to operate the dials as well as the switches in the cockpit, even the three-way, especially the three-way switches, not the two-way switches. Those you have to use the button. But you'll also notice here on the right stick I have a secondary action where it says system. That is actually the grip button. For whatever reason it comes up as system, and I'll explain why that is useful once we get into the cockpit, so I hope you don't forget. But the interesting thing with the touch controllers is there's stuff that isn't mappable, and it's really annoying. For example, the pointer that you see here, I don't like using the pointer unless I have to. So you can set it to proximity mode, where you just have the triangle and you use that to reach up and interact with stuff. And the button to toggle that between pointer and the proximity is the A button, and you cannot assign that to anything else, unfortunately. So basically the A button is locked down. You can't assign anything to the A button there. I currently have the X button on the left controller set to my VR camera reset, but that's not really that important. It's just what I chose to do. So anyway, we're going from Centennial to 8 Granby 27. Okay, let's reset the time. Let's go. Come on, let me grab the thing. We'll go about, yeah, 3:30-ish. That's fine. So again, this is the original Oculus Rift, so the resolution is not great. I tried playing with a bunch of settings, even dialing down all of the graphical settings really, really low and trying to really squeeze out, you know, some resolution and super sampling and stuff to see if that would boost the resolution in the mirror, and it does not. Oh, that's another thing I should mention. I said that I'm not using super sampling, but I am using Oculus Tray Tools for the asynchronous warp, which I know a lot of people said that you should disable that, but for me, I had to. I had to use asynchronous warp at 30 frames per second, otherwise I would get tearing and issues on the edge of my field of view where the screen would go black and stuff, which I know is a prominent concern. But in order to get rid of that, I had to use asynchronous warp at 30 frames per second. Couldn't use 18, couldn't use 45 or 45 forced. So that's just what I had to do. So let's get in here, and yes, you can see I'm using the proximity in order to do all of this. So like right now, let's get the de-ice ready to go. I know we're going to need that probably over the front range. Yes, I know the inertial separator is on. All right, so the squeeze button. This is why I was really happy to get this working. So you pull the trigger, and then you squeeze the button. Oh, I have to be in MFD mode first. Hey, and now the touchpad's working. This hasn't been working until just tonight. Even though this has been configured the same way from the very start, it only just now started working. So now I can pan the map around, thank God. So that works for the knobs up here with push buttons as well. So the heading buck, we can set that. Boom, excellent, love it. So while we're up here in the autopilot panel, let's select our initial climb altitude. We'll go 12,000 feet. And again, I'm using the thumbstick here to dial, so I can look away and still, as long as I keep my hand steady, I can look away and look at what I'm changing and work the dial. We're going to use the vertical speed, and we're going to climb at 1,200 feet per minute. That ought to do. So I think we're fully configured. Takeoff flaps are set. Landing lights are good. We're going to turn on the cabin lights so our passengers know that they need to be aware of what's going on back there. Yep, all 0 of them. Alright, so I am getting some flickering on the edge of the screen, which I wasn't getting when I was testing these settings just outside of downtown Denver. So that's interesting. I wonder if maybe a couple of my sensors connections are not operating at maximum. Sometimes my the Oculus software will tell me that they're connected to USB 2, even though they are not, and that will degrade the performance. But that's not something I can control. It's just Oculus being stupid. Alright. We are configured and ready for takeoff. Let's get out of Centennial here. Point of fact, this is actually the airport where I had my first job in the aviation industry, detailing aircraft. That was good times, man, good times. Alright, so our rotation speed is 90 knots. There we have it. V1 rotate. Positive rate, gear up, flaps up. Denver Broncos practice facility over there.
XA19112 tree continue for west departure.
Okay, so this is one more annoying thing. I will deal with that in just a moment. I'm going to set autopilot to on.
Tree, leaving my airspace frequency change approved.
So I can use the right controller because I need to switch to the pointer for this. I'm going to hit B to bring up the toolbar. Now you'll notice it's not going to work. So I have to hit Control 0, and now it'll work. And then I'm going to go ahead and drag this over here, and I'm just going to leave it up.
Centennial Tower XA19112 tree frequency change.
Because I'm sure she's going to bother me again. So I'm just going to leave that up right there. Alright, let's mind our temperatures here. Bring the throttle back just a hair. And we'll go to the external view. See the downtown Denver metro area there in the distance. Nice clear day. You know what? Let's take this opportunity while we're not doing anything, and we will let's turn off live weather, and let's make this a little more interesting. Get away from the joystick there, the yoke here, so I don't accidentally hit it. Let's make life a little more interesting. Why doesn't this want to? Oh, coverage. There we go. It's at 0. That's why. And then select this one. You know what? Where are the settings at? Like, aren't there presets here? Or is that just on the main menu? Just like picking some random. Why is it? It's not letting me drag it out. Usually you can drag this out. Come on. There we go. That's something. And then we'll have a nice thin layer there. Ooh, yeah, there we go. Back down to... Let's raise that one up. It's a little thick. And then we'll thicken that one. I'm just kind of picking some random clouds here. Actually, let's make that just below us, because we're gonna cruise up to, yeah, 10,000, and oh, that we didn't even really mess with this one. There we go. That'll make the flight a little bit more interesting, I suppose. But yeah, we'll continue climbing once we get to the front range here, and we get a look at the terrain and how that renders and shows up on video. Like that right there doesn't look great, but you know, what are you gonna do? About ready to fly over Golden here. Let's recenter the... Whoops, I didn't mean to hit that. Recenter the map on us. And then we'll zoom out a little bit. Wow, this is actually behaving weirdly. It's not... The pointer should intersect with that, not go through it. And it's not too far away to reach by hand, but my joystick is right in the way, so I have to go around it here. I think we're done talking to ATC. I can get rid of this now. Alright, and as we approach the front range here, I'll go to the drone camera. And then after that, I will pause the recording until we find ourselves on the initial approach into Granby. So sit tight and let's get some drone footage rolling. That was the wrong key. Hey, we'll catch you guys on final approach then. Alright, we are making our initial approach. We are currently 11.2 nautical miles out, but we've got to clear this this range here of small mountain peaks. Two things of note: I did remember to shut off the lights and turn the cabin lights off, but we are going to turn the cabin lights back on now to let our passengers know that we are on descent. I did turn the oxygen on as well. I'd forgotten to do that when we crossed 10,000 feet, but I've corrected that. So we are now descending initially down to 11,500. We're going to shoot the approach on this this runway here, and like I said, we'll circle right and land on 270. You can see I've already set the heading bug to 270 to help myself out. Elevation according to airnav.com is 8207. That's the only information I had found online. Alright, I believe we've got visual here, so I'm going to descend all the way down to 95, I'd say. I don't know. So I don't know in the charts, like there's no charts online, so I don't know what the appropriate altitude is. Turn the inertial separator back on, landing lights back on, and we're going to throttle way back. And we're going to disengage the autopilot because I don't know what it's doing. It knows that we've reached our destination, but we haven't actually set an approach for it because there isn't one, so far as I know. There's not one in the sim, and I couldn't find one online. So yeah, the autopilot was going a little bit crazy there. We'll get a good look at Granby Lake. And we'll just descend on our own. We'll worry about that once we finish this turn. Oh, that's right, I didn't set squeeze up on the left controller. I need to do that. And that scroll wheel isn't working either. That's... oh, because I didn't set it to MFD. God damn it. Got a little bit higher than I wanted to, but we've still got a ways to go on this leg. Speed's good. Right where we want to be on speed. First stage of flaps. Second stage of flaps. Give it a little bit of throttle. The descent profile for this aircraft is 85 knots on approach. I'm more comfortable around 90. But, I mean, there's not much of a difference there. Don't quite understand why I'm getting rocked around so much. There's no wind. Let's just get off of the pedals here. Reverse throttle. And we're down. Let's see if these guys actually park me. Since the update, I haven't had a single ground person actually park me. He's trying, and I came to a complete stop because I'm an idiot. Close enough. I can live with that. I didn't really have the time to turn off my lights, but what are you going to do? Alright, cabin lights, come off. Come on, come off. You went back on because my hands are shaking. Because I still... yes, I still very much... get nervous. Oof. Man alive. There we have it. I hope this recording turned out well. Yeah, this is so much fun to play in VR. So it looked great in the headset, felt great in the headset. So yeah, I guess that'll bring this to a close. See you around.